While you're eating that delicious hamburger of yours, your digestive system collects glucose from your food. Cells need glucose to create energy. At this time, the pancreas secretes the appropriate amount of insulin into the blood to help deliver glucose to their cells. Normally, insulin acts like the key into the cell by calling glucose transporters to the cell wall, who help deliver glucose molecules into the cell. At this point, the glucose molecules are converted into energy. Although people with type 2 diabetes produce their own insulin, their cells do not respond well to it. People with type 1 diabetes simply do not produce enough insulin. Excess glucose builds up in the blood and cannot be used by the body, also known as hyperglycemia. Without glucose, less energy is created, leading to people feeling more tired, having mood swings, always wanting to eat, and weight loss are only some of the symptoms. This is where injectable insulin steps in. Not only does it help cells recognize insulin more often, but it also decreases the concentration of glucose. It is administered subcutaneously, which is the area of the fatty layer between the skin and muscle. There is no exact cause for diabetes, but many scientists believe an autoimmune disorder is to blame, which means insulin-producing cells in the pancreas are destroyed. Insulin is white in color and in the form of crystalline powder due to the purification process called crystallization, which works the same way if you were to boil salt water. You get salt as a precipitate. In this case, it's purified insulin, and it's soluble in water. This is a structure of an insulin hormone. The structure is pretty large, but we can break it into two chains, the A chain and B chain, with the A containing 21 amino acids and B containing 30. The 6 remaining sulfur atoms form 3 disulfide molecules that hold the entire insulin structure together. An amino acid is an organic molecule made up of a basic amino group, an acidic amino group, and a side chain, which is unique to one of the 20 known amino acids, 10 of which are produced by our own bodies. For example, isoleucine, valine, and glutamine. Let's look at glycine, the first amino acid in the A chain. It is polar covalent, and its primary intermolecular force is the hydrogen bond. It can also be broken down into 4 Vesper shapes: the trigonal pyramidal, tetrahedral, trigonal planar, and bent. Here are 5 more amino acids that exist in insulin, each with their own list of properties. Insulin was actually discovered by a Canadian, Sir Frederick Grant Banting. Up until the 1980s, only animal insulin was available. The most common were porcine insulin, taken from pigs, or bovine insulin, taken from cows. Bovine insulin only differs by 1 amino acid, while porcine by 3. At this time, scientists discovered a way of synthetically creating human insulin in a lab, also called recombinant DNA technology. First, they build a human gene in a lab. Then, they subtract a piece of DNA from the recombinant bacterium and fill it with a human DNA. After, they place this recombinant bacteria into large fermentation tanks, which cause insulin to form inside the bacteria, which is later harvested and purified 3 times to form insulin. Ever since switching from animal insulin, many debates arose about which is better. Animal insulin was more likely to cause unwanted immune reactions, where antibodies detected a foreign object and attacked it, although, in other cases, human insulin would cause feelings of nausea and fatigue. Even though it's more costly, it's more reliable. Since then, most of today's world switched to human insulin. But is there a real difference if animal insulin is only different by 1 amino acid? Speaking of human insulin, there are actually 5 main types. They are each divided into 3 main factors: how long they take to kick in, what the peak time is, and the overall duration. Individuals are prescribed as needed. Let's take a look at this graph, comparing the effectiveness of each type across the day span. Rapid-acting insulin is taken after meals to control spikes in blood sugar. Short-acting insulin covers insulin needs during meals. Intermediate-acting insulin is usually used overnight. Long-acting insulin can cover a full day. And lastly, premixed insulin is taken twice a day before meals. Research is being done every day to help the lives of those people with diabetes by making insulin cheaper, more accessible, and faster acting. Knowing that type 1 diabetes affects children and young adults most clearly shows the value of this small, life-saving hormone.